go. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I gotta be honest with you, that game drove me nuts. I cannot believe the Buccaneers lost that game. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Tough one. Man, that was an absolute blazer from Cooch, wasn't it? What a crazy game. The Bulls are bowl-bound for the third season in a row. An incredible performance. And listen, we know the competition. They did what they had to do. No more silver linings. No more moral victories. It was put up or shut up time. And boy, did they rise to the occasion. What is going on, everybody? Did you miss me? I missed you guys. Hope everybody's doing well. And whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad, welcome to the Recher podcast. Oh, man, I don't even have my banner up. What is it? I'm the club. There we go. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. What's going on, everybody? Everybody doing well? I feel like I'm just like a little kind of wah right here today. It looks all fuzzy in the back over here. What's going on? You take a day off, you take a couple days off, everything is crazy. Are we clear again? Are we clear? Are we good? Everybody good out there? I am. Hope you are too. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Whoa. It's never enough. What a show. We are back with a bang on the program today. Holy smokes. We got a lot to get into. And three great guests on the program, including the guy who makes fun of me the most, Brian Engblom. Brian Engblom, the Stanley Cup champion, one of the voices of our Tampa Bay Lightning on the television broadcast with our good buddy Dave Randorf. Two-time Stanley Cup champ and just one of the smartest people, one of the best people that we know. You wonder who everybody always says, who makes fun of you the most, who busts your chops when it comes to your shoes. Everybody thinks it's Phil Esposito, but it's not Phil Esposito. It's Brian Engblom, the guy who makes fun of my shoes the most. I'll say my shoes because he doesn't always make fun of me, even though he does. But it's pretty much my shoes. So I'm making the little headline here just so he can laugh. But you want to talk about Lightning hockey, you want to talk about Olympic hockey. Not many people that know it better than Brian Engblom, going back to his days with ESPN, obviously playing for the Canadians and having a tremendous career in the National Hockey League. So Brian Engblom will join us at 12:30 today on the program. At 1 o'clock, we'll have Xavier Scruggs joining us, ESPN and MLB Network. I mean, this is another guy, one of the budding stars when it comes to sportscasting around the country. Again, you'll see him on ESPN. You'll see him on MLB Network. You'll hear him all over the place. He's just such a great guy. Father, husband, tremendous. Xavier Scruggs joins us at 1 o'clock. And then at 1:30, she's here. She's probably one of the best athletes that we have over at USF right now. The all-world second baseman, Kathy Garcia-Soto, joins us on the program to talk about her defensive prowess, the strong start to the year for USF. What is it like playing with Ken Erickson? We recorded it before the show. We play that for you at 1:30. We'll also discuss Auston Matthews as the captain of Team USA. The big fight that was announced today between Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano. I cannot wait for that. And then, of course, we'll talk some Bucks. We'll talk some Rays about the recipes that need to change and some that need to stay the same. We'll get into that. Again, follow me at JRetro on all social media platforms. And a big thank you to our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Of course, Evra Health as well. Couldn't do this without them. Couldn't do this without you guys. Contribute via the super chats whenever you can. And if you guys want to chime in on the conversation, here is the link right there in the chat. StreamYard.com/VZBQ94MET2 right there. Check us out. Glad to be back. Janet Best, the first lady of the program. She is here. Benny, Dolan, Missed you at Ray's Fan Fest. Hope everybody had a good time there at Ray's Fan Fest. Sounds are good, vibes are good. That's good. Uh, the sound is on today. David Terry, welcome back, Jay Bird. Hope you got some much needed R&R. Certainly did. Yes, I definitely want to see Brian Engblom's haircut from back in the day. I know we're having a little bit of some issues when it comes to posting on Twitter. So we're just going to continue to make sure that we're putting that out there. Remember, you can watch on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X. So whatever works for you guys, make sure you guys come check it out. Again, I know some of the broadcasting stuff. Yeah. All right. Yeah, sometimes it goes right on Twitter, and other times you have to kind of manually put it in there. But we're here. We're making it work, baby. No problem at all. Okay, there we go. FanFest was brutal. I've seen 4 people pass out from heat or whatever. That's no good. That is no good at all. I wanted to touch on something too before we really got started today. Let me get here. All right, so there was big news from over the weekend about there was going to be a big announcement when it came to WDAE, and there were a lot of people reaching out to me and asking my opinion and trying to see what my thoughts were and if I actually had an opportunity to rejoin WDAE. There's a lot of people that were asking, people wondering if that was a possibility. And, when I look at my time at WDAE, again, I don't just say this, and I hope that my actions can speak this louder than the words can. But I have no ill will towards anybody over there. I'm not depressed when good things happen to them. I don't feel bad. Like I really, that's just not how I operate. I'm not going to sulk, and I'm not going to, look at a situation that happens there with a bunch of people that I consider colleagues and friends, and affect that me negatively in any way. I don't operate like that. So the announcement that WDAE is now moving from 95.3 to 95.7, 100,000 watts, so that the reach farther north, farther south, that's great. I think it's a fantastic thing for Pat and Aaron and for T-Kraz, and then to hear that Nick Wise is going to be live. He's going to be competing with me at noon. But hey, man, to each their own. You got to go out there and do your thing. And then to find out yesterday, the big announcement that Rock Riley is going to be going into that 6 o'clock slot. Rock's one of the nicest guys in our media, and he's been around, and he handles himself with such class, and he's such a respectful guy. I don't see where the wrong thing is. Like, I'm not upset about that at all. I think it's great. I do. I think it's great for them. And listen, it's one day, would I ever go back to WDAE? Maybe. I wouldn't close the door on it. I wouldn't say yes 100%, because I really do like my schedule now. And I do like not having a certain set format to be able to articulate the topics that I want to talk about. If I don't talk about the Bucks at the top of every hour, no boss is going to come to me and tell me that I need to change my strategy, right? I can kind of go off on a tangent and talk about some personal stuff, but also give some more love to some of the things that I maybe wasn't able to do on the radio. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but in no form or fashion am I jealous or envious or just anything. Like, it is what it is, man. And it's not, if I had a problem with it, if I didn't like those guys, I would tell you. I'm honest to a fault, ladies and gentlemen. Whether there's no, I wonder if Jay Recher's cool with me, or I'm good. Nah, not really. I could give 2 shits, to be honest with you. If I don't like you, you probably know. If I do like you, I'll go to bat for you, and I'll support you. And that's the love that I have for everybody over there. So I wish all those guys the best of luck. And if anything, it just motivates me to want to do my job better, like to continue pushing and keep making this the best podcast here in the Tampa Bay area. I don't look at that as, I don't need other people to motivate me. I'm a very self-driven, self-motivated person. So not getting a job or somebody else doing something, like, I don't look at that as it really has any effect on me. I'm just happy for my friends and happy for my former colleagues. And if that relationship, if we come back to one day me being a part of the DAE team, we'll have that discussion maybe one day, but it's not happening right now. And I'm not losing any sleep over it. So I don't want anybody out there to think that there's any kind of beef or any kind of chasm between me and WDAE. That's not the case at all. I'm very, very, very grateful for my time there and all the great things that people over there still, the way they still treat me and make me feel welcome. I go over there and cut some spots every once in a while. Like, the relationship's still great. It doesn't always have to be so tenuous, and there doesn't always have to be some beef or anything like that. So I do ask everybody out there to please support local, right? That doesn't stop with WDAE. If anything, it starts there, right? Support local. That's everybody. Guys, you don't realize, and I'm seeing these incredible messages from Benny and Ashan and Lady Evil Rolly. Like, you guys don't understand, Dolan, the impact that you have. You may be sitting there on your UPS truck, like my guy Dolan, and think, like, how much of an impact am I really having? You are. You guys all together, Janet, Benny being here every day, David Terry here every day, my people from all over the country that watch this show, every little bit helps. That's why when I say support local, right? Honest Hammer, Evra Health, Tampa Bay Times, Lightning Insider, Pewter Report, Joe Bucks fan, everything. Guys, that's the only way that we're going to continue to grow. WDAE is a huge part of that. And Rock, the guy that's going to be there at 6:00, is another guy. He's just another dude that goes and does a little bit of everything. He's everywhere. I see him at USF, or I see him at Lightning. He's a great guy. So please support Rock, support Nick, support T-Kraz, support Pat and Aaron, support everybody over there. They'll always be family to me. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because, some people were like, oh, I wish Jay was there. And, I appreciate that. I definitely do. I love you all for that. But trust me, man, I said this the day I got let go, and nothing's changed in almost 2 years. I have no ill will. I don't operate like that. I don't waste my energy and put energy into things like that. If I don't like you or I don't like something, I don't talk about it. Right? I don't like horror movies. I don't like science fiction. I don't like certain things. You know what? I don't just go on things and I don't go on reviews and say, screw this movie, screw that. I don't care. Like, to each their own, man. Go do your thing. It's just not for me. I'm not going to waste my energy on it. Very excited and where I'm about to put my energy right now. As I'm thinking about the Tampa Bay Rays and I'm thinking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I look at how one group has to kind of go back to what their bread and butter is in the Rays. And I'm looking at the other side of the Buccaneers need to kind of deviate from what has worked so well for them. Now, starting with the Rays, I think that it is going to be awfully tough for them to compete this year. I just don't know if they have the horses. But in order for them to really be a factor, they need to go back to what has made them successful, and that is pitching and defense, the tried and true method. When you look at their payroll over the years, the way that they've been able to compete without having a bunch of 30 home run, 100 RBI guys in their lineup was being able to throw strikes, keeping the ball in the yard, and playing stellar defense. And that's not just infield defense, it's infield and outfield defense. And you can do that. And I think the Rays going back to Tropicana Field, and you got to use that kind of stuff. You have to use the motivation sometimes from outside forces to be able to help you. And I know it's not the same thing, but remember there was that tragic shooting in Vegas years ago, and the Golden Knights were able to just rally their city around their team. And of course, we don't want a tragedy like that to happen to anybody, but sometimes there's things that can galvanize a group of professional athletes and make them maybe overachieve or do things that you didn't think. Um, and I think that that's what the Rays are going to have to capitalize on. I think they're going to have to capitalize on being back at Tropicana Field, that true home field advantage, the excitement of the new ownership group, getting a guy like Shane McClanahan back, having Junior Caminero step into an even bigger role when it comes to being a leader and one of the best players in all of baseball. That's what they need to do. The Rays need to turn back the clock a little bit. And if you're not going to go out there and you're not going to sign big time bats and you're not going to be in there for big time offensive free agents, you need to make sure that you're doing what has worked for you so many times in the past. Throw strikes and play good defense. I really hope we see that from the Rays. Listen, if they fall short because they can't swing it, I think you just tip your hat and move on. But let's get back to being. I'm looking up statistics for the pitching staff for the Rays last year, and so many of their statistics are middle of the pack, middle of the pack, middle of the pack. It's not terrible, but this is the Rays. This is the Tampa Bay freaking Rays. Pitching and defense is in their DNA. They should be top 5, top 10 in almost every category. That's the only way they're going to compete. The AL East, and I'm with you, Ocean. I love this. Ocean View Coffee Shop. Beautiful. Same hometown as Carson Williams. I hope he is a big factor this year as well. The AL East is a monster. So it's been monster in the past. But what have they been able to do to compete and do well? Throw strikes, play good defense. Get back to that. If you don't, you have literally no chance. You're not going to outslug some of these teams. You're not. So for Kyle Snyder and Kevin Cash and Shane McClanahan, it starts at the top. Guys, come on. 2026 has got to be different. 2026 has got to be different for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. Now, as much as I say that about the Tampa Bay Rays going back to what has worked for them, you have to see the Buccaneers do something a little bit different in this offseason. Jason Light needs to make sure that what he does in this offseason is different than what we've seen in the last couple of years. You have to find somehow, some way to rectify this pass rush. And I'm talking about a big time. You can do it. We saw how paltry the pass rush was for Atlanta the last couple of years. And then last year, they were right back up. And of course, James Pierce, we know what's going on. Have you seen that James Pierce case? Holy smokes. We read it for you on the show last week. That guy, I don't know. I said it to somebody, I think it was Ian. Ian goes, hey, man, if he can get 10 and a half sacks, they'll find a way to bring him back. Maybe. But aside from his off-the-field struggles, he did a lot on the field for the Atlanta Falcons this past season. The Buccaneers need a similar type of impact, and it's not just going to happen because of better coaching. It's not just going to happen because Yaya Diaby takes a step forward or David Walker bounces back from his ACL surgery and is an incredible passer. Jason Light needs to do something in this offseason that he hasn't done, and that is draft or trade or sign pass rushers and inside linebackers that are going to help this team. How good do you have to be if you don't have a pass rush? I think it's damn near impossible for you to compete. You got to be able to stop the run, turn these teams one-dimensional, but there has to be a defense where your front four can just go. And the rest of the 7 guys can just sit back there and revel in that. This is the last chance for Todd Bowles. And listen, I know there's some people out there that say, well, Jason Light doesn't want Todd Bowles anyway. He didn't handpick the guy. He was the guy that Bruce Arians kind of just handed the crown to. That's fair. That's fair. But you have to wonder, if Todd Bowles' days are numbered in Tampa Bay, let's say they fail miserably this year, eyes are going to start looking at Jason Light. All right, Jason, we're getting farther and farther away from the Tom Brady era. Who are you bringing up as a head coach now? And what if that guy doesn't work? Jason Light could be on the hot seat in a couple years. Ian said this last week, and I posted on all of my social media platforms. Ian didn't collaborate, that son of a gun, at Jay Recher. Ian said, Jason Light, a B-plus general manager. But when it comes to drafting pass rushers, F. F. Is he wrong? I don't think so. I think he's spot on. And it's amazing, truly amazing when you think about it, that the Buccaneers have been able to be this competitive the last couple of years without an esteemed pass rush. And really, since the Super Bowl, what have we seen? And I saw this earlier today on ESPN when they were talking about Fitz and Alex Anzalone and Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, to me, seems like a guy that is going to be very similar to the Hassan Reddick situation. It's hard not to feel that way. Only had 6 sacks last year. I want a guy that is still at the top of his game. If Khalil Mack comes in next year and has 8 sacks, is that really going to make a difference? Not really. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't want, and I'm glad you asked that, because no, I don't want that. I don't want Khalil Mack. I don't want a Joey Bosa. I don't want guys on the downside of their career. I want a guy that is one of the best players in the game. You have to do something like this. You got to do something drastic. Every once in a while, you can't just keep doing the same damn thing and expecting a new outcome. I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see bold moves from Jason Light. No bold moves, no postseason. Tori, Jay, what do you think about bringing Levante back? If not for just his leadership and knowledge of the system, considering we have most likely we'll have a lot of new guys rotating in this front seven. I mean, you're going to tell me that, not you, Tori, but people are going to say certain things like Levante and his knee surgery or his knee was banged up. But let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you a question. Do you think you get healthier as you get older? Have you been watching the Buccaneers the last 2 or 3 years? Is that the Levante David that we've come to know and love the last 2 years? Take the sentiment out of it. And trust me, I love the guy. And if he's coming back, I have no issues whatsoever. But you need to get better at that interior linebacker situation. And to say that the Bucs have to have him back, I don't agree with that whatsoever. You got to get faster. You got to get better at that position. It can't just be him. We just had it last year. He was relatively healthy. And I don't want to hear, oh, the knee slowed him down. You played. You were out there. And if you're not as good running around, but you're good enough to be on the field, but you're not good enough to play as well as you once have, you're not like you're blowing this whole leadership thing way out of proportion. Way out of proportion. You're talking about a team that took another swoon in the middle of the season. You're talking about a team that couldn't stop a nosebleed once again. And you think bringing Levante back or not bringing Levante back is going to set the world ablaze? This defense was trash last year. Come on, man. Let's be serious. Take your emotion out of it. They need to get better at that position. They need to get younger at that position. If Levante comes back, great. I love the guy. But you can't expect, you're not 2017, 2018 Levante David is not walking through that door. So for people to act like it's some disservice or some terrible thing if he doesn't come back, it would suck because we love the guy. But if you would have just taken the number off the back of the jersey and just watched it and took your heart out of it, that's not good enough. It's just not good enough. I'm sorry. You want to hear some other fluff bullshit and why we got to bring back 54 at all costs. He's a leader on this defense. Bro, that sentiment, come on, man. We just saw the Lightning get rid of Steven Stamkos, who had a lot left in the tank, more left in the tank than Levante David does right now. And Julian Brisebois said, deuces. Come on, guys. Great question, Tori. I'm glad because I don't think a lot of people are being real. That's what you're going to get here on the Jay Recher podcast. You got to be real. If it's just Levante and one other guy, that's not good enough. If Levante's out there and he's part of 3 or 4 new linebackers, I got no issue with that. But it's got to be way more than just him. Sergio, as long as Bowles is here, I don't see this defense changing much. I also don't see Crosby coming here to play for Bowles or Light giving up all those draft picks, new head coach next year. See, that's the difference, though, Sergio. You here in the Tampa Bay area, you don't know how Todd Bowles is revered outside of here. People love Todd Bowles. They respect Todd Bowles. They want to come play for Todd Bowles. Guys wouldn't not come here because they're like, oh, it's Todd Bowles. They think that they could be part of the solution. Remember, if you take it out of it, take your fandom out of it for a second and just think. And I remember this because I've talked to multiple guys, and the one guy that stands out is Calais Campbell. You guys know Calais Campbell. He might play till he's 50, that big monster of a man. He said beating the Buccaneers years ago meant so much to him because of how much love he has for Todd Bowles. Why do you think Jamel Dean came back years ago? He could have got paid. You look at all the guys that left. Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy Bunting, Jordan Whitehead, all those guys that left, they got a lot of love for him. A lot of love for him. So I don't think anybody would say, I'm not going to go play there for Todd Bowles, or I'm not going to go play there because of Jason Light. I just don't think it's happening. Shine's right. Players love playing for Todd. What do you think about Bradley Chubb, Che? He's available. Yes, I know it seems like when you look at the Miami Dolphins, they're moving on from a lot of different people. It's a new era there, man. Again, is Bradley Chubb good, or is he just a name? In the NFL, more than any other sport, we fall in love with the names. Oh, I remember Bradley Chubb. He was a first-round pick for Denver. All right. Last 3 years, 8.5 sacks, 11 sacks. He didn't play in 24, 8 in 2022. He's only had double-digit sacks twice in his career. Again, I don't want to wish. I don't want to hope. I don't want to coulda, woulda, shoulda. I want something established. He's not established for me as a top-tier pass rusher. That's what they need. Sergio says Chubb is another Reddick. I don't disagree. I wanted to mention one thing before Brian hops on with us. Auston Matthews has been catching a lot of grief from the media, and Jake Gensel ended up saying something the other day about how he's playing really well and everybody needs to back off and he's not playing as bad as people are saying. Well, my response to that is heavy is the head that wears the crown. Auston Matthews, my friend, you are the captain of Team USA. You are a captain of a U.S. team that for the first time in a very long time has a legitimate chance to go toe-to-toe with Canada. And when you look at your performance last year in the Four Nations, you had 3 assists and no goals. You may go down as one of, if not the best American hockey player when all is said and done. Some people will say it's not fair how people are grading Auston Matthews. It's not fair that he's held to a different standard. Life's not fair. But when you are that good, you are judged differently than everybody else. We're not talking about how well he's playing off the puck. We're not talking about certain intangibles that don't show up on the score sheet. You're paid a lot of money and you have a C on your chest because you're one of the best goal scorers in the National Hockey League. And I don't want to hear anything about people saying, oh, wow, the stress and the media that's getting on. You play in Toronto. He should be used to it. I was a guy that said last year, the day after the Four Nations ended, that if the U.S. had any chance to win the gold medal in the Olympics, Auston Matthews had to play a whole hell of a lot better. And when it started, this, in this Olympic run in Milan, wasn't good enough. I know we scored that power play goal, but not good enough. I was very vocal about that. With that being said, the last game and a half, he's been a different guy. He's going to the dirty areas. He's scoring those gritty goals that he's not necessarily known for. It's that incredible wrist shot that he has. But him mixing it up in front of the net of the other team, him being the guy that kind of drags his team into the fight, a la Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, that's what I want to see from Auston Matthews. So while he will catch criticism for me when he's on the periphery and not getting his nose dirty and only chipping in with assists, I'm going to give him his praise for how he's been playing the last game and a half or so. But again, heavy is the head that wears the crown. This may be the most important game or games of his career. There's no guarantee that he's going to win the Stanley Cup. History tells us the longer he stays for the Maple Leafs, that ain't going to happen. So winning a gold for Team USA as the captain, we may be looking at a legacy-defining week for Auston Matthews. If he does that, the criticism will go less and less. If he does that, he'll forever be Captain America to me. All right, let's bring him in. It's our good pal, Brian Engblom, here on the program. I say this with love and affection, and I put this at the bottom of the screen. The guy who makes fun of my shoes the most, the one and only Brian Engblom. People think it's Phil Esposito, but it's certainly you, my friend. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you, Jay?
I'm good, buddy. What did you heard my little spiel there on Auston Matthews? What have you thought of his play so far this I keep wanting to say postseason, but this Olympic run?
I think people don't understand well enough what it's like to adjust to those situations. Being with a different team and being in a different environment, different lines and everything. Everybody adjusts differently. They put the C on a sweater. There's a lot of things, and I agree with a lot with what you said. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. That's for sure. He's feeling it, probably putting too much pressure on himself instead of just going out. To me, he's always been the kind of player that just goes out and plays free, because he's got such skill and great confidence. And so he goes and plays. He knows he's good. All those guys know they're good. This is different. Yes, he is used to Toronto, and that's the ultimate media center when it comes to pressure. So he is used to it. But all these things still, Jay, are different. And some guys just don't adapt as well as others. Sometimes you would think, well, he would just take over the game. Well, you end up, sometimes it's surprising that some of the best players end up deferring more than may say the younger guys. Let's use Celebrini, for example, right? Everybody's raving about him, and rightfully so. The kid is fantastic. 19 years old. And he's one of the most effective players on the team. What did he get from, the star players that he's playing with, McDavid, McKinnon, and everybody up and down the lineup? Kid, go do your thing. Don't pass to me. Go do your thing, right? So he heard it, and he answered. He got some confidence early, scoring the first goal for Canada. So there's an example on the other side. But it doesn't mean that Auston Matthews isn't going, I got to set up this guy, I got to set up that guy. He's a shooter. Yeah, he can make passes. He's a shooter. He's a puck carrier. He's intimidating that way, and he's a shooter. So he'll get to his game, I expect, because he's a really smart guy. And the chips are down right now, and these games are the ones that really matter the most.
You mentioned Macklin Celebrini. I said this the other day on social media, Brian. He's been one of the most impressive players that I've seen all year. Not most impressive rookie, not most impressive young, or you know what I'm saying, not most impressive young player. This kid is, and somebody said it last night, and I hate he's compared to this all-time great. But I heard somebody compare him to like a Sidney Crosby, and I go, man, that's probably a little bit too much. But the poise is what sticks out to me, Brian. He doesn't seem to panic the two times that he played the Tampa Bay Lightning. He just looks like a top player. He's so impressive. What do you like the most about his game?
Well, I think people, there have been a lot of articles about him. And if people don't know, his dad is the head of sports medicine for the Golden State Warriors, right? So he's dealing with superstars. So even as a little kid, he's been around superstar basketball players. He's learned a lot of things, soaked in a lot of things. His dad has known, and his mother's an athlete as well. They've known how to prepare him physically and emotionally and mentally. And that's the biggest thing as a teenager, is that emotional and mental aspect of the game. Anybody can go to the gym and do whatever it is you're going to do, and some have more talent than natural. talent than others. But he's been prepped in, can you think of a better way to start things out than having parents like that and being around that sort of environment all the time? That is outstanding. So you carry that forward, and so when he got the word from the big guys on the team, like I just said, he goes, okay, I get it, all right, I'll do it, and the rest of it will come naturally. If there's a player, if one of those guys, McDavid or somebody's open, he'll just naturally get him the puck. But if he gets a chance to shoot and score, he's going to do it. But there are some phenomenal athletes that adapt very quickly. Sidney Crosby is a good example, probably because he's the most recent and he's still in the game, and the game has changed so much. I mean, it's tough to even go back to Gretz. Gretz played in a different time. Mario played in a different time. You can't go back to Gordie Howe and Bobby Hall. The game is light years difference from them. So it's an unfair thing to go probably any farther back than Sidney. He was privileged to play on the same line with Sidney Crosby last year in the World Championships. So he gets a huge lesson of on ice and off ice, how to carry himself, how to conduct himself right off the bat. Now he comes in here, he's having an MVP type year. He may win it for the entire league, which is crazy at 19 years old. But then he plays with McDavid, and guys like that are phenoms soak in everything. It's the players you play with, and if you're fortunate enough to play with great players, you soak it in really quickly. Oh, that's what they do. Oh, that's what they do. Oh, he went here. And just a little conversation here or there. What were you thinking there? No, go over there. Those things are invaluable. Yes, you learn from players that you play against, but you learn from the players that you're with. I mean, I found that out playing on Montreal Canadiens teams in the 70s, where 10 guys are in the Hall of Fame now. So that's just good luck, on that part of it. But you have to soak that in, that type of information, and he gets it. So playing with Crosby in the World Championships helped prepare him, even though he's not playing with Sidney right now, although you never know with Coop. He may end up, in these last couple of games. He will still mix and match and do whatever he has to do. But Celebrini's quite a story.
What have you made so far of Team Canada and Team USA, Brian? I mean, it's obviously U.S. is going to have a tough putt and a more difficult road to make it to the gold medal game. But, man, I really hope we see them square off when it is all said and done. What is your big takeaways from those two teams so far?
I liked, a lot's made of, the path that you have to take, and same thing in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? We talk about it all the time, but you have to be able to beat good teams in order to do it. Sometimes if you get the easiest pathway all the way to the gold medal game, and then maybe you get off to a bad start and you're under the gun, you haven't gone through that as a team yet. That's a really important factor in winning it all in any kind of championship. So facing a little adversity, which has to be short-lived. You have to overcome the adversity because this isn't a best-of-7 series. It's one game. You have a bad first period, you're down 2-0, you better get with it fast, real fast. And you have to be able to handle that pressure and do it the right way. So there's all those things that happen. So I'm not so much on, who's going to play whom. They both have done their job. Both the U.S. and Canada are at the stage that they're expected to be at. And the expectations are, what really form it. What we talked about after the last Lightning game in the post-game radio show was about, the first thing I said was the three most important things are goaltending, and goaltending, because it's a one-shot deal, Jay. And if your goalie has a bad night, you're doomed.
Yep.
End of story. Your goalie cannot have a bad night. If he lets in 2 or 3 that are soft, your chances of scoring 4, against a good team, I mean, it's possible over the length of it, but I'm talking about bad goals where that was not good. That was not good. He doesn't look sharp. He doesn't feel sharp because that has a negative draw on the team. Sometimes they can overcome it and go, okay, here we go. Let's go like hell because it's going to be wide open here. It looks like that can happen. But usually it's a draw. It makes everybody pull back, which takes away from your ultimate talent on your team. So goaltending is the first thing. It's the second thing also, at least. Then it's you have to have the production for sure. the coaching is there on both sides. You don't have to worry about that. Mixing and matching, adapting. I've always been a big proponent of the great players on any individual team win you championships in the long run. Yes, you have to have depth, all those things, all the cliches. Yeah, great players win you championships. Lightning have seen it. Florida's seen it. Every Stanley Cup winner for the last 100 years, you can say the same thing. Basically, it comes down to that. Seen it, lived it, seen it 1,000 times. There are a lot of guys who can pull it out. A lot of those guys want to be the heroes, but some things you can't overcome if your goaltender is not very good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I look at Connor Hellebuck and people, it's weird how a tournament like this, everything else is kind of pushed out to the side, right? You look at Binnington's NHL stats this year, it's like, woohoo, those things are scary. Well, what is it about a tournament like this where you're almost like in an echo chamber, right? You kind of push everything out to the side and things could be going bad. I think of like Vinny Trocheck on Team USA or Mika Zibanejad on Sweden, or, some of these guys where maybe back home things aren't going so well. Guys can play different in this tournament, right? Can they turn the page and look at, hey, let's not worry about everything going over here and then just take care of my stuff and my business for my country. I think of Elias Pettersson as another one of those guys where people looked at him as an alien, as one of the great players in the game, and then the whole thing with JT Miller. So the tournaments can kind of give you that ability to just play kind of a different game and almost do have a different part of your career in the middle of it, right?
Absolutely. Those are two really good examples. It's a refresher for them, like get away from under that heavy blanket that just seems to cover them more and more in Vancouver and the Rangers. So this is a chance to win a gold medal. I mean, it's a lifetime achievement for these guys. Some of them, probably many of them, won't get another chance. It's 4 years. 4 years is a long time in a pro player's life, and a lot of new players will come in. Guys get older, on and on. I mean, you don't have the Sidney Crosbys come along very often, right? The Drew Dowdys who have been so good for so long, have overcome injuries and still get it done. So it is a refresher, and it is a great thing to rebuild confidence in individual players. And I'm sure the Vancouver Canucks, looking at Elias Pettersson, go, good, go do your thing. Come back as that refreshed guy that we know you are. And, same thing with Zibanejad. If he can score a few goals and, whatever has happened to him over the course of it, and just the whole experience, how can it not make you feel better about yourself?
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. If they do make it to the gold medal game, Brian, and you mentioned goaltending, and I know, but where do you see, and I always try to compare things when it's two teams, like to a fight, man. I'm a big old school boxing and UFC guy. Where does Team USA have to hit Canada in order to be better than them on one night? I mean, it's like you said, it's not a best of 7. It doesn't have to be a compilation. It's not, you have to, battle back from a 3-1 deficit and win 4 of 7. You just got to be better on one night. Other than Connor Hellebuck stealing the game, what do you think is the USA's, best route to being able to pull off the upset over Canada?
I think they're so evenly matched. I mean, look how Canada won in the Four Nations. They won by a hair, by this much. It's not like they, walked all over them and went, "Oh, Canada's so much better." That's not the way it is. It's a hair either way. So this will be like, okay, how good are you? Literally, how good are you feeling that day? How incredible is Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby or any of the top guys on the U.S.? But for me, it comes down to the next layer, which is the defenseman. Besides, I'll take Tampa Bay Lightning players out of it for obvious reasons because they cover them all the time. My favorite player in the league is Quinn Hughes. I think that guy is fantastic. Huge Cale Makar fan, absolutely, no doubt. But there's just something about Quinn Hughes for me that's the closest thing to Bobby Orr that I've ever seen. And I know a lot of people, it's too long ago, so maybe people don't know. They've seen it on TV. Orr was just super special. And Orr was and still is my favorite player of all time. So that's why I notice it because I studied the guy so much, and because I'm talking about style of play, it's nuances, it's movement, it's how he controls the game. It's a lot of different things, you know. Sure, it's specific things, the way he skates and whatever, but the way he manages the game, the way he sees the game. I think that Quinn Hughes is going to be and perhaps the ultimate factor. It'll be great plays by defensemen. Sometimes the forwards end up canceling each other out. And I know McDavid scored the goal. You'll get great performances by Matthews and whomever else from the U.S. side. It's going to be within a hair. But to me, what happens is, especially in today's game, it's so complicated system-wise that there isn't much room out there. And the forwards, even as you're coming out of your own zone, the forwards are in it, right? They're crossing their own blue line. They're getting into the neutral zone. They want the puck, but everything's congested. The defensemen have the puck and everything is in front of them. And that's the old Bobby Orr thing. See, Bobby changed the game. Nobody did it like he did because he had a chance to take the puck and everybody else is clearing the zone. And yeah, he's making his way through and making moves and everything. And then, but when you pass the puck as a defenseman to a forward who turns around and boom, somebody right in his face, especially right now, defenseman up on the play, get close to the red line, gap control, gap control, gap control. That's what I mean. Forwards are in it all the time. It's hard to find space sometimes. And players, sometimes forwards are reluctant to come back far enough in order to give themselves that chance. And to me, that part is missing in key parts of games. Nathan McKinnon is the best, and McDavid are the best in the league about that. Because you watch when the chips come down, they'll come back and go, give it to me now. You can just see, the defenseman's looking at him like, oh, okay, yeah, you got it, buddy. Come back to his own dot or whatever. And McKinnon's going, I dare you to stop me. He's a runaway locomotive. And McDavid just has different movements, right? They're different kinds of players. McKinnon's like this. He's like a horse, a full gallop. And McKinnon, it's like he's like a fly. And they're both so effective, but their styles are different. But they want it, and they want to take it. They know when to pass it, when they run out of room, but they'll use every inch of room that they get. And that intimidation factor makes everybody defensively go, oh, he may not be able to stop. I'll go help too. Yeah, me too. And so next thing you know, they pass over here. Somebody walks in and scores a goal. That's greatness. It's the ability. They're literally attractive to the opposition. So they draw everybody. That creates, and then they're smart enough to create. Now they're not passing off to guys who are less than them on their own teams a lot of time and can't score. They're passing off to peers who are as good as them and can score. And those are the differences, the nuances, and especially in a one-game shot that make it all different.
Yeah, I'm with you on what you're saying there, and also with the Quinn Hughes thing. And he just skates differently. The way he could tell him and his brother, right? I think Jack Hughes has been phenomenal.
All three of them. The youngest
all three.
Really
Luke can play too. And I really like Zach Werenski, man, and that U.S. blue line. And I don't even think we've seen the best Jacob Slavin, who, for a lot of people's money, one of the best defensive defensemen in the game. If Jacob Slavin and Brock Faber look like they're going to be your third pairing now, Noah Hannafin's chipping in with goals.
They'll be matched up against McDavid as best they can. With whatever the line change, whoever ends up home, it's the home team, whatever, it'll be a difference maker, and things like that. But changing on the fly and things like that. How much do you want to match up though? If you are Sullivan and go, I don't want to screw up the rotation of other guys. We're dealing with star players, but there will be a little bit of that there, going on, and there has to be. I mean, look at Brock Nelson and what he did at the beginning of the tournament. It's those, other guys that sometimes really surprise you and can be the difference maker. Who knows? It could be Nelson again, or one of those guys that score a goal or two. And at the right, well, they're all going to be important goals in the one game shot. I agree with you with Werenski, no doubt about that. The Canadian defense, Makar, of course, is incredibly active and he's got a shot like a 30 goal scoring forward. Because, he comes in and he can pick the corners too. And he and McKinnon, they'll play a lot together. Coop's no dummy. He'll put those combos together. They know each other, where to look for each other. But it's the defense for me that ultimately I think will will make a big difference. And say one of those guys moves in, that's a great chance, and there's a big save, and there you go the other way. Next thing you know, that guy's not where he's supposed to be. Game over. You score at the other end. Those are things I love about this kind of situation. But for me, it's the super talented defensemen that are going to make a big difference. And the long stretch pass coming out of the zone when two guys or maybe even three made a line change in the second period and they got caught with their pants down. And that one pass of somebody created a 2-on-1, game over.
There you go. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes the biggest play is in the second period, not at the end of the third.
Bingo.
Brian, could the biggest benefit to the Tampa Bay Lightning be the guys that aren't in the Olympics? I feel like out of all the teams that are contenders, when you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, I don't know if any other team in the NHL has as many stars not at the Olympics, whether because they're Russian or because of the injury bug. I mean, obviously Florida doesn't have Barkov, but he's not playing for them either. But you look at all the other top guys, right, around the league, they're all in Milan. And you look at the Lightning, the guys that aren't there that are going to be big-time contributors down the stretch, Point and Cirelli and Vasilevsky and Kucherov, right? Like, I look at them and could it be a blessing in disguise for the Lightning to have this many players not at the Olympics in the long run?
Yeah, theoretically, absolutely. Yes, you're right. I feel bad for all four of the guys on the Lightning that couldn't go to the Olympics. The two Russians, and of course, Point and Cirelli getting hurt in the 12th hour. That's just ugly. I can't even imagine the frustration level of that. So to answer your question, yes, rest and recovery is big for sure. So they will put a lot on those guys to carry the team, maybe while some of the other guys, are recouping. There's going to be a lot of readjusting for all of the Olympians going back to their own teams. And by the way, I hope Kevin Fiala in the long run can, it comes out okay. Talk about a tragic thing and what you worry about most if you're management, multiple fractures of his leg and won't be back with the Kings for the rest of the season. And he's a key player. It was John Tavares last time, right? That came back and couldn't finish the season for his team. So it happens. And that's why there's the argument back in my day was the ownerships were like, no, we're not, we don't want to get involved in that. It took a while to convince them. First of all, we weren't eligible because we were pros, but all that stuff. I won't dredge that up too much. But there are all these things, and then emotionally, when you come back, say you're the U.S. or Canada and you lose, okay, in the final game, then there's that depression, and there's that sag thing. Then there's you won the gold medal. Then there's that come down time, and you're coming back to grinding.
Just
and
natural.
Back to your
natural human being, right?
Yeah. And get back to being home and get on the road and all that, everything that's buzzing through your mind, it has to settle in. Then there are, multiple other factors. Players on any given team. Say it's one of the teams like Czechia or Swedes or whatever, and they don't have a good year. It's like, especially the Swedes, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. Say they don't even medal. They're going to be like, that's going to be ugly. They're going to not even want to think about it, whatever. Psychologically, there's a lot of stuff to handle. They are pros. A lot of them have been through it already. Some have not. But all those things will be issues. And so the fact that the Lightning have those four guys in particular that can help carry them until maybe things settle out a little bit, that'll be important for every team because the beginning of the season wasn't bad until Christmas, the schedule. The schedule from Christmas to the break here was pretty bad. Coming out of the break, it's really bad. It's intense. So, and even for Coop, Coop, and Coop brought it up one time, I know, and off to the side, he also said about 2 weeks, I think, before this Olympic Games, he said, I've got a lot of my assistant coaches because I got so many things going on, right? There were from the time they were picking the team. I mean, all the conference calls and the phone calls and watching tape and all that and getting distracted away. And look at their incredible record, the Lightnings. I mean, it's crazy how good that was with all the commotion going on within the team and for the head coach and one of the GMs. And Julia. So just phenomenal stuff, being able to compartmentalize and go through all that. So then the decompression for him, refocusing again, hopefully for him it's the gold medal. But somebody on the Lightning is going to have a gold medal and have a big grin and have the bragging rights for 4 years.
You got that right, Brian. Last one out of me. Somebody was asking here. Mark wants to know, is there anybody Brian is looking at for JBB to potentially go after at the deadline? And it's tough. I mean, they've been playing so well, Brian, before the Olympic break here. Are we at a point this year where it's like, hey, don't upset the apple cart? Maybe some of the best acquisitions are the guys you get back from injury, or do you think the Lightning need to go out there and maybe fortify something on the back end or a bottom six guy? What do you think?
Julian's a really smart guy. I haven't looked at individual names.
Right.
You're always looking for depth. I think the top two lines, however you want to play them, are really good. I think the third line is solid. If you want to get an experienced guy for the fourth line, a centerman would be good. A right-handed centerman would be great. I think off the top of my head, that would be something that you'd love to have to win some faceoffs on a regular basis. The cost is always the thing, right? But they're a team that has proven that, and everybody will be healthy, maybe not right out of the break. I don't know the time frame for Pointer and Cirelli exactly, but those things should sort themselves out very quickly. So I would say that maybe that would be something to look at. I think the defense has proven to be pretty good. If there was every team, every GM will always say, if you can find another guy who's got 6 or 8 years at least of experience on defense, right? You always want one more of those guys, especially if he's been around the block and won a cup or two. So those are just the standard things, not to be too cliche, but where the Lightning are in the standings and how they played, why would you have to see it any different?
You got that right, my friend. Stanley Cup champ and one of the voices of our Tampa Bay Lightning, always keeping Dave Randorf in check. The one and only Brian Engblom. Are you going to the Callahan event this year?
I believe so. Yep.
All right, because they were asking me the other day. So we had so much fun a couple of years ago when you had to dig not deep in your closet for all that 70s wear. I think it's Shakespearean themed this year. So I mean, I expect you out there reciting some of your favorite Hamlet. Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet stuff. All right, buddy. Make sure you bring your best.
Okay, to be or not to be.
I'm the MC this year. They dragged me into it, so I said, I got to get some special shoes for this one.
Oh,
so I know they're gonna cut my mic off in the first 5 minutes. Brian, you're the best, my friend. Enjoy the rest of the Olympics. I'll see you at the arena before you know it.
All right, thanks, Jay. Be well, buddy.
You too, buddy. The one and only Brian Engblom. Doesn't get better than that. We are so lucky to have him here in the Tampa Bay area. And thank you very much, David Terry. Always love when you have Brian Engblom on. Great segment. You're right. I mean, we are so fortunate when you think about it. We have Brian Engblom and Dave Randorf. These are national broadcasters that are here in the Tampa Bay area. They're just phenomenal. And it truly adds to why the Lightning are top tier, top notch. And, obviously you look at the radio broadcast with Dave Mishkin and Phil Esposito. It doesn't get better with right? I mean, think about it. Other teams don't even have a radio broadcast anymore. They just take the feed from their TV. Woof. That is rough, man. Rough. And we have Brian Engblom, Dave Randorf, Dave Mishkin, and Phil Esposito. And then, our pal Greg Linelli too, but we're not going to show him that much love because that's, can't do that here on the program. Xavier Scruggs is going to join us to talk some baseball here in a little bit. Make sure you guys support local. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Go check them out for all your residential and commercial needs. They are the best. My guy, Russ, I got to get up with him. I'm actually going to go see one of the new houses that he's been working on here in the next week or two. Now that we're back and ready to roll, he's the man. So go check him out. Kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, they can help you out. Licensed, insured, bonded general contractor, they can help you out. Again, tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast and get a discount. You can't beat that. I just mentioned the Ryan Callahan Foundation. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on as well, because I am going to MC the Ryan Callahan Foundation event. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. And Ryan's actually going to join us on the show at some point this week. Benny, you keep bringing this up. Who's got a better hairdo, Greg Linelli or Darren Radish? I'm going to go Radish. His is straight through and keeps it high and tight. And also showing love to EverHealth. Of course, the EverHealth injury report that we have every single week here on the program with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. He's the man. We love him. But EverHealth, if you're looking for a change, if you're looking for something new career, they can help you out. Everhealth.org, 17 different locations in Pinellas County. Tell them that you're right here on the Jay Recher podcast, because every little bit helps. We talk about support local. You get into a situation where you're looking for the new kind of healthcare, right? It's not the same old thing. You're looking for a place that has a sliding scale for the uninsured, a place that takes all kinds of insurance. That's what EverHealth is. Everhealth.org. You love Dr. Carlos Rodriguez like I do. I mean, just him joining us on the program, it's insane. He's such a great guy. So we always want to support local. So again, everhealth.org. All right, let's keep the good vibes going. We're going to bring him in, the X-Man. X going to give it to you. Xavier Scruggs. I'm a big DMX guy from back in the day. Me and my buddy Ian used to get into it because we used to compare him and Ja Rule, and people said they were going to take his hip-hop card away. I say, come on, man, don't let me outplay you here with the X-Man. What's going on, brother? How are you?
All good, Jay. Glad to be with you, man. Good to catch up.
Yeah, man, it's always a good time. I'm talking a lot of Olympic hockey today, and I'm just so excited for the World Baseball Classic. I mean, I'm a sucker for stuff like that, man. I really am. As a kid that grew up playing baseball, and we did a lot of stuff like for our local communities, and we always talked about the countries that we represent and things like that. Yeah. Team USA with the World Baseball Classic coming up. I love the construction of their roster. I mean, you obviously you start with Aaron Judge, the captain, but when you get Paul Skeens and you got Terry Skubal both saying, hey, we're in, like I think they looked at it, and we know Skeens with the military background, but I think they look at the way the last one ended with Shohei, you know, kind of putting it out there and shutting down Mike Trout to end it. I like that though, X, right? I mean, I think it's a good spot. These guys are going to be in spring training for a couple of weeks and then go represent their country. What are you looking forward to the most when it comes to the upcoming World Baseball Classic?
Well, Jay, you hit on all the points. And I think like the one thing is the atmosphere is almost completely different than what you see with Major League Baseball. And I think it takes it up another notch when you think about the excitement, the fans, the the screaming, the yelling, especially when you talk about some of these other countries being represented. But I think ultimately as an American, like I get excited about seeing what our roster looks like, knowing that we're putting together the best team capable with some of the best players that we have in Major League Baseball. And, you know, we're not trying to settle for coming up short against anybody again, right? And I think we're trying to win this whole thing with the roster that's constructed. You mentioned some of the names, and I think about kind of the speed power combination of a lot of the players on this team too, that will give us a chance to win games offensively in other ways besides just hitting home runs. Like we could steal bases, take the extra base, and a lot of athleticism on this roster.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, when you have PCA there and Bobby Witt, I mean, I look at those two guys especially. Yeah. I'm always trying to, because I don't know if this has anything to do with the Rays or just because I think that's how baseball is, because there's so many games you play and people are always just trying to see ahead of the curve, right? Like what's coming next? The Rays did such a great job with the shifts and the openers and things like that, right? And I think in baseball, I'm always waiting for kind of that next wave now, because it was launch angle, 3-2 outcomes. And now, and I'm wondering if the game is changing. What do you see changing as far as the game goes? Because I look at and I see certain teams, everybody wants to talk about all these different things with, the Dodgers. No, I mean, they won the World Series because of their versatility. I mean, as much as everybody was doing their thing, and I know how great Yamamoto was, but like you look at what Miggy Rojas was able to do offensively and defensively, right? Andy Pages, who didn't really hit well at all, makes that incredible catch, right? You look at Will Smith contributing, who's also going to be a part of Team USA. Do you see kind of a shift maybe a little bit when it comes to being more versatile, when it comes to being more athletic, rather than, the old school Bronx Bombers bash over the heads and try to hit 275 home runs? Do we see that shift maybe happening a little bit?
100%. And I think what's kind of made that popular is obviously what the Dodgers have done recently. But I think we see teams using even now the universal DH in a role to where it has different guys that can use that spot. So not just even defensively, but also from a DH standpoint. I think that's huge. And I think, you're looking at guys coming up in a more athletic, they're more capable as far as athleticism to where they can play multiple positions. Like guys used to take pride in being able to play one position. Now you see guys really wanting to be successful defensively in multiple positions. I think of a guy that just got traded from the Cardinals over to Seattle, who came up came up short, but had an opportunity to make a deep postseason run. They were missing that versatile piece and traded for Brendan Donovan, who now can play multiple positions for the Mariners. So I think about guys, and even a guy like Bo Bichette, who signed a deal with the Mets and now is going over to third base, right? The athleticism comes into play to where he can play another position for a team that already has a superstar shortstop. So the versatility is huge. I even think about myself, like I have young boys and they play baseball, and I want them to be able to play every single position because the versatility is invaluable nowadays for someone that can hit and play any position on the field.
Yeah, I remember one of my best players on my 11-year-old team when we won the Pony World Series, 15 years ago. My guy that was the right fielder shortstop ended up starting as a catcher as a sophomore at Gaither, same high school as Kevin Cash, and went to win a national championship with UT. So it's right. Like you never know, even at a young age, like you got to make sure that your kids are playing a bunch of different positions. I wanted to ask you, it's kind of funny. I wanted to ask you this, so it kind of tied in together. There's been a lot of videos about Bo Bichette, and they're working so much on the drop step on an infielder. And a lot of people are saying, oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Look, he's letting the ball play him. And it's just so weird with social media. I try to just keep everything to the outside. But I think what people have to understand is I don't know if you're going to be able to use the drop step when you're playing in your local park because the grass and the dirt isn't going to be as finely manicured as it is in the big leagues. Because you're able to drop step and know that you're probably going to get a decent hop. You're not going to get that at Wellswood Pony Field behind pin chasers, but you are going to get that at Citi Field. How do you balance that as a dad now with young kids of kind of balancing out like what they see on TV, what their big guys are doing, some of their heroes based on where they're at right now in their young lives?
I think that's a great question. And I think, as you mentioned, social media at times can get things out of hand. And a lot of times we don't even understand the reasoning as to why somebody's working on something. A lot of times athletes are working on things to put themselves in a tough position to where they can respond athletically a certain way. So I think the first thing is understanding the why behind a certain movement. And I want, even as a dad and me working with, other little leaguers and other kids, is like, understand the why behind the movement and put yourself in tough situations to where you can be more athletic. You see a certain guy do something on TV, or you watching a guy do something on YouTube. Yeah, you can see the result, but understand this is someone that's put in years of training to get themselves in this position. So I think there's a lot of understanding and explaining the why behind things. And then also understanding that a youth body, or, somebody that's younger than a major league athlete, their body may not be able to do the same thing. So you do have to be careful in what you're hoping to get out of a young athlete compared to a professional.
I saw you put something online the other day about Mason Wynn. This is a guy I'm sure you're looking. I'm always looking at, and again, this is because where I grew up in New York, and we had a lot of young black athletes and a lot of young black baseball players, and I'm always like trying to be an advocate because because I'm not black. I think it's always good to have an advocate outside, right? Representing my people my guys that I grew up with, and I look at a guy like Byron Buxton, and I'm just like so happy for him that he's healthy and he's a part of Team USA. And have you seen that? Have you seen some of these young black baseball players? I see it here locally. There's a couple of kids at Tampa Catholic, and it seems like, the efforts that are being put in by Major League Baseball. I know our good buddy Denard Span is really kind of championing that cause as well. It's such a great game, and I feel like it's getting better. I don't think it's where it needs to be, but I feel like it is getting better than what we've seen, at least in the last 5-10 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's such an emphasis to create the pipelines that it's hard to ignore the opportunities. And I think that the more opportunities we have for young players, that may feel a little underprivileged, or if they're in certain communities where baseball is not as celebrated, I think the more we can bring it to the forefront, the better it is.
Right.
Because I think, telling the stories of guys, as you mentioned, like Byron Buxton, Mason Wynn, the guys that are starting to find themselves at the top of Major League Baseball, I think the more we could tell those stories, the better. And that's why I try to create certain content around those things, because a lot of times our conversations aren't what they need to be. And maybe we bring something to the light and then we almost forget about it, right? Like, we got to keep doing it. So I get excited about seeing young Black baseball players, because the numbers are slowly increasing. But the more we can get the athletes into this game and understand how special the game of baseball is, the better it's going to be for our product on the field. And that's what I get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we used to our team growing up was the United Nations. That's what they used to call us, because we had kids. I think we had 9 different nationalities in 9 different spots. And it was
That's
just but that's what it was about. Like, we didn't know any different. We thought it was like that everywhere. And then we would drive to other parts of New York and we'd be like, wow, we are not like everybody else. And it was strange. Like, they would see us getting off the bus and they would look at us and be like, yeah, man. But that helped me grow. Like, that helped me learn about life. Right. And it just showed that there's so many different backgrounds and we can all play such a great game in baseball. I wanted to ask you something as far as a content creator goes. You are not one of those people that relies on hot takes and relies on saying asinine things just to draw attention to yourself. No, I'm serious. And I'm not just saying this because I love you and we're buds, but you are so much more prevalent when it comes to information and education. Do you feel that pressure? Do you understand that your growth may not happen? Because and the reason why I ask you this too is because somebody put a comment on mine. They go, Jay, the reason why you haven't grown faster in your lane is because you're not like that. And I said, I appreciate you saying that, because it wasn't coming from a bad place. He was saying, like, you don't say outrageous things. You say things that you truly believe. And nowadays people click on the negative stuff. People want to bash people. Do you feel that, like, because you're a guy that's so positive and you've grown so much and you have such great relationships? I mean, not many people do MLB Network and ESPN. A lot of times it's one or the other. How has that been for you as far as your journey, seemingly staying on that positive and optimistic and spreading the good vibe side and not kind of falling in the way of, all right, I got to say something outrageous to stay relevant?
Yeah, no, I think that's a valid question. And I think I just want to be almost have something differentiate myself, right? I think if I see everybody going one specific area, like I almost rather go the opposite. And it's one of the reasons why I got into broadcasting and analyst work, is because I wanted to bring to light the positiveness within a player and what they do in a team. Because I think there's so many stories that often get overlooked, or things that we look at a player and we see the negative side, or a team and the negative side, but there's always something that is positive within there. And if I can bring that, that's going to be something that differentiates myself. So I try to lean that way. And I feel like there's so much, as you mentioned, negativity anyway. I don't need to pile on in that sense, because I think that there's enough people that already do that. So, and I think also it challenges you, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, is like, it challenges you to find different things to talk about, different things to bring to light, different things when everybody is going in one specific area. Okay, how can I find something different and challenge myself to do so? And I think you reap the rewards from that in the long run, outside of just getting the click and maybe having a certain virality within the moment, but doesn't extend you as a brand.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think, that individualism, by being unique and just staying kind of committed to who you are, I think it's sad that that's what makes you stand out. But I've tried to keep that same mindset as well, as like, I'd rather grow at an incremental pace at my own progression, being me, rather than taking shortcuts, saying something outrageous and being something else. And for everybody watching today, I started the show today talking about you never know, what you say and how it's going to affect other people. A couple years ago at the Denard Span dinner for his foundation every year, X said to me, "I love your Recher's rapid reaction stuff," and you said that to me like 3 or 4 years ago. And at that time, I didn't know if I was going to keep doing it. And you, just by saying that one thing, was like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing it. And I've done it at World Series games. I've done it at Super Bowls, WrestleManias. And
So
it's one of the
awesome.
things that people say, like, bro, I always, if I miss the game, I'll make sure that I check out your reaction and check out what kind of crazy shoes you got on. So a big thank you to you, my man. You never
No.
know, guys. And it was just kind of like we were talking, but it was like a passing thing that X said to me. So always spread good vibes, man. You never know what kind of impact that you're going to have on somebody's life,
Right.
somebody's career. I want to ask you about the Rays, man. I think that this is a year for them. They got to get back to the bread and butter. You got to pitch and play defense. You can't think you're going to outslug everybody. Even though you have Junior, you have Yandy, you have a Ronda. I mean, that outfield offense, I don't know what they're going to get there.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at this Rays team, and it's kind of a little bit of an unknown. They're flying under the radar. It's not always hard to do that in the AL East when you have
Yeah.
Alonso going to the Orioles, and of course you got the Yankees and the Red Sox, and the team that went to the World Series last year and the Blue Jays. When you look at the Rays, what are some of the things that you're keeping an eye on as we go closer to the 2026 season?
Yeah, I get excited about the balance of the team. I think there's a more understanding of what their identity is. And as you mentioned, pitching and defense is going to be a focus. And I think that with the guys that they've acquired this offseason, but also some of the guys that they have as mainstays, you mentioned Junior Caminero. I think he evolves into one of the game's best players, but I think other guys get better off of that too. I think bringing in a guy like Cedric Mullins, like having the opportunity to be a veteran amongst a young group of guys too. I think Ryan Pepio takes another step forward in this rotation. Shane McClanahan coming back is going to do a lot for bringing an ace back. I know he'll probably be, monitored early on in the season, but I think you get a Cy Young candidate back in a rotation, and that makes a complete difference. So I think there's definitely upside with the team, and the division gets a lot tougher. But I think the good thing is almost the Rays get to fly under the radar in a sense, and they get back to Tropicana. That's a comfort for them too. You think about them getting to play back where they want to be. I think that's huge for them as well. So I think there's a lot of things to get excited about, but there's also a lot of work to be done and a lot of roles to figure out. Okay, what guys are going to ultimately really thrive in a certain position.
Yeah, especially when you have so many pieces in the outfield. I can't wait to see Chandler Simpson out there as well. I mean, we talked about kind of the adaptation of the game, going away from the long ball, putting the ball in play. And we used to say, run, rabbit, run back in the day. Speed kills, man. It really does. And you see it more at the prep and the college level. And I'm hoping that we see more of that at the big league level as well. When you're looking at Major League Baseball this year and you're looking at, unfortunately, we could be on the precipice of a lockout. We hope that it's not going to happen there. What do you make of some of the big contracts? And, I've talked to a couple of different people with Kyle Tucker making all this money, and they go out and get Edwin Diaz as well. Yeah. How do you view that when it comes to the landscape of baseball? Do they need a salary cap and a salary floor, or do they need their owners to say, hey, man, if the Dodgers can do it, why can't we? We're certainly not pinching pennies.
Yeah, I think there's just got to be kind of an understanding of where each side is at and where each side is coming from, right? And I think, first of all, we have to understand that owners have teams that most of these teams are just a piece of their portfolio, right? Mm-hmm. And it may not be something to where they want to invest a certain amount of money to try to win a championship. We see that in other sports too. So I think there has to be an emphasis on the owner side to definitely want to win. We're seeing it more in NBA now, to where like you're getting penalized for tanking. And I think in a sense, there has to be that in Major League Baseball. And also from the player side, I think there's going to be things that they'll have to give up that they don't want to. I don't necessarily think that there's going to be a salary cap, but I do think that there's going to have to be some serious conversations between both sides to look at what is important for the game, not only within the next couple of years, but 5-10 years down the line, as we continue to see streaming be such a huge part of what baseball does. What does that do for local broadcasts? What does that do for, these teams and how they make money? I think there's a lot of those question marks that go into this next CBA. And it's hard because you have to predict the future. And that's really tough to do in our landscape in sports. So a lot of question marks will have to be answered. And there's going to be tension, but I'm hoping that everything gets handled to where there is no lockout.
Yeah, I hear that, my friend. All right, before I let you go, give me a player and a team that you're keeping an eye on as we go into the season.
That's good, man. I think when I look at the Braves, I think that's a team that, really struggled last year. But I think with a full healthy season of Ronald Acuna Jr. and a lot of the same talent they've had previous, I think it's a team that I get excited about, but also a player that I get excited about because we haven't seen him have a full season in a couple of years. So
what is it about Acuna? I wanted to ask you about that because it's such a unique story, man. They win the World Series without him, right?
Yeah.
We know that there was early on him not running out some of the stuff, and Freddie Freeman was not shy and kind of holding them accountable and even saying it in the media there. And it's weird because he's such a fantastic player. I mean, you go talent for talent. I mean, he's the best leadoff when he's playing. He's the best leadoff hitter in baseball because he probably shouldn't be a leadoff hitter, right? He probably should be a 3 hitter, but if they're going to bat him first, and we'll see if Walt Weiss continues to do what Brian Snitker did. What is it about Ronald Acuna Jr. though? Is it, you always think back, is it kind of the Manny being Manny thing? You got to let him do his thing. And if it's not, it's weird because it's hard to gauge when you don't see it every day. Right, because I feel like that is sometimes the misnomer with some of the Latin players. You say, well, that guy's lazy. Well, why? Because he plays with a lot of flash and he makes it look easy, right? Because they say that about Robinson Cano. But I'm like, well, he makes every play and he runs hard out of the box. He got a bunt double. It's weird. But also, they won the World Series without him, and they've had some struggles even when he was in there. And they have a pretty good roster that they've locked in for a while. So what do you make of Ronald Acuna Jr.? Because I feel like his legacy is of one of the best players in baseball when all's going good, but it's just a weird thing. I don't think everything is kind of meshes there.
Yeah, I think obviously, with a lot of superstar players at a young age, maturity comes into the picture so much, right? And I think we've even seen it with guys like Bryce Harper, who is now a 2-time MVP. He had his struggles earlier on fighting with his own teammates, right? Like fighting against other guys on the field. Like there's just certain things that from a maturity standpoint, superstars have to almost adjust to. We've seen with Fernando Tatis Jr. with the Padres, right? One of those guys that, had off the field issues, motorcycle issues, like just maturity comes into the factor. I think the same can be said for Ronald Acuna. Like when he's healthy, and now has taken another step, has another year under his belt, I think the maturity factor comes into play. I think there was some video the other day, him, hugging and talking with Brian Snitker, just seeing him in camp. Like, so I think like as these guys continue to get older and learn from their past experiences and maybe past mistakes, they find themselves almost developing into a different person and somebody that can be counted on the field even more, and somebody that, can ultimately turn into a leader. And I think that's what you need for a guy like Ronald Acuna Jr. So I think those are the things, and the stories too, as we talk about like the creation side of things, those are the things that I want to continue to learn about and bring to light. And I get excited because I'll be going to Braves camp here pretty soon, and I'll report back to you what I've seen and what I've heard too.
I love it. All right, last one. Favorite team. Who is your favorite teammate of all time?
Favorite teammate of all time, man. You put me on the spot right there.
Had to, buddy. Had to.
I think, maybe we've talked about this before, but I think Yadier Molina, just, having the opportunity to play next to what will be a Hall of Famer, see him be a general on the field. I got to be locker mates with him for a good amount of time and just kind of see how he went about his business. And just I think people don't realize this is a guy that, at his time as a catcher, getting to the field maybe 7 hours before the game just to like dive into the computer and see what a runner is doing a base stealer is trying to do at first base to get that first step. Like, he's ready to write that stuff down and figure out how he's going to implement that into his own game format to where that guy doesn't have that jump. Just another one of those managers on the field. So to get to see that and to be around that, to get to be around his personality was pretty special.
I'm sure he'd say the same thing about you, my friend.
I appreciate you, man.
He's the best, just like you. The Xavier Scruggs, MLB Network, ESPN. Follow him on all social media platforms, man. Always putting out some great content. And again, not the same old rubbish and all negativity. I like how X does the spotlight on things that not a lot of people talk about. X, you always make my show a whole heck of a lot better. Always great to catch up. Much love to the wife and the kids, and enjoy spring training, and we'll catch up again soon, buddy. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Jay. You take it easy, man. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, pal. The great Xavier Scruggs. He is the best. Again, another one of those guys when people ask me, is he really like that? Is he a nice guy in real life? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. He's phenomenal. Just a phenomenal human being. My guy, Robert Cochran, you were there, and now you're gone. I was going to get to you, Robert. No, I didn't ask Brian. I should have asked Brian that. Robert Cochran, the new owners are already better than Stu, and they haven't owned the team for a regular season pitch yet. Brett Phillips is amazing. Yeah, where are you, bro? You left, and now you're back. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Jay. I just wanted to hop on here real quick and say, why'd you have to bring up the picture of little me on Facebook the other day, dude?
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Did you see it before I put it out there?
Yes. I've known that was on there since it happened back in 2016.
Oh, I had no idea. For anybody that was out there, there was a picture put out by I think it was by the Florida State Fairgrounds, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it was talking about the WDAE Great Sports Debate years ago. And I'm looking through some of the pictures, and of course, I'm not in any of them because I was taking pictures for WDAE that day. And the last picture on the Facebook post, I look at that and I go, "What the? Is that our Oklahoma City correspondent, Robert Cochran, right there?" And it was. And I was, bro, I laughed so hard. It was so random. I thought I was drunk and I didn't have a sip of alcohol. And I'm like, this guy Robert's everywhere, man. Dude, that was so cool.
It's crazy because I remember that day like it was yesterday because my mom used to work at the fairgrounds. Okay. So, and that just so happened to be on one of the days that I guess Hillsborough County, I don't know if they still do it these days, but back when I was in school, way back when, they let students off for the day.
Yeah, fair day. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was on that day, and I just so happened to go with my mom to work, and then I on a yearly basis just walking around the fairgrounds, getting into trouble, and got to meet the big dog that day, and
that's
oh
amazing,
my God,
man.
so much fun.
Dude, you know what's so funny about that is because there was like a big argument that day between the big dog and Ron Diaz. Yeah, he was like, "You want to go?" And Ron was like, "You want to go, brother?" I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Ron, Steve can't even walk. Why are you trying to fight him?" And I got the whole thing on video, man. Oh my God, it was good
Insane
stuff. How's the weather there, bud?
It's a little chilly. Not too bad. Not snowing or anything, but just ready for the Thunder to start playing basketball again.
I know. Did you watch any All-Star Weekend?
I watched a little bit of the dunk contest, and then of course, with Shea being hurt, only team stars had Chet, which they ended up winning the whole dang thing.
Yeah, so. Which is crazy. I know, man. Robert, you're the best, buddy. Have a great week. Thank you.
Brother. Yes, sir.
See you, pal. Yeah, when you look at NBA All-Star Weekend too, man, the slam dunk competition. I don't think anything has ever changed more in my entire life than that. It used to be so freaking awesome, and it's just so bad. And Stephen A. Smith, listen, goes on the other day and he's talking about how it's LeBron's fault, right? I agree. I agree because it came up to the point where people didn't want to embarrass themselves. And that's kind of the age of the I say kids, he's 40 now. but that was that era of the NBA. It was like, all right, well, we just want to protect our image and we don't want to embarrass ourselves. We don't want to put ourselves out there. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up watching Spud. Imagine Spud Webb. Spud Webb would have been so scared if he was LeBron's age to go because everybody would have made fun of him. And we would have been robbed by one of the greatest athletic accomplishments anybody's ever seen, where one of the shortest players in NBA history won the dunk contest. So I hope this new era of NBA guys led by like Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic, like, dare to be bold, dare to be brave. Please, please, please. Because that dunk contest was basura, trash. Game was better. And it's funny because there was a lot of people making fun of that all-star team that won it all. They were like, oh, leading this team. And they ended up winning. There was some more competition. There was some more fervor. And I like that. Better. Give me more of that. Janet, always remember the almost fight with Ronnie D and Big Dog. You got that right. I did watch a little bit of the Daytona 500 too. Big winner. It's kind of weird though that the biggest thing that came out of that was the whole Michael Jordan thing. With Tyler Reddick and the ice going down the back with Jordan and the little kid. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It looked like the kid had something in his shirt. I don't know why Jordan was kind of like touching his calf or whatever, but whatever, man. I don't know. I didn't. People always are trying to, oh, look how weird that is. And especially nowadays with, I don't want to get into it. That's just, it is what it is. Tyler Reddick, you win the NASCAR, of the Daytona 500. Again, NASCAR, I don't know what's happened to NASCAR. It used to be, or a lot of people were into it. It's just not the same anymore. It really isn't. All right. So we're going to end the show today talking to an absolute, she's probably going to be a USF Hall of Famer one day. Just an incredible athlete altogether. We recorded this before the show, so enjoy. Kathy Garcia-Soto, an all-world second baseman for USF. If you haven't seen her play, go usfbulls.com. Go get your tickets today. She may be the best defensive player in the history of USF softball. She's that good. I've gotten that from Ken Erickson. Must-see players in the Tampa Bay area. She's on the list. Great discussion with her. Here's her and I from earlier today. All right, here she is, the all-world defender for our USF softball team, the one and only Kathy Garcia-Soto. What's going on? What is it, Spider-Woman? Like, how many nicknames do you have for this team right now?
I don't even know. I just go out there and do me whatever nicknames they give me. I'm just like, go Bulls.
Yeah, go Bulls, no matter what. You've had such an incredible career there at USF, and it's still going, and I call you the heart and soul of this team. What has it been like early on this year? Because obviously each team has to develop a new identity, and last year with Josie and Alana being such a big part of the fabric of this team, what is this new club? What is this 2026 version of USF softball like?
I think just finding our grind, finding how we can work as a team to like do wins. Honestly, this past weekend was a true test of that, being down 4-1 at one point and coming back in the last inning and scoring that. And then same thing in the last game, close game, coming back at the end and just working together, playing USF softball, like our identity, getting the runner on, getting them over, and just finding a way to put the ball in play to get them in, and just understanding like that's the way we're going to play, and everybody really buying into that early on is really good. And I'm really excited to see what we're going to continue to do going forward.
What did it mean for you to be able to stay here in the Tampa Bay area? I mean, playing for the Mustangs, which is probably the biggest program here locally, and then obviously going to Jefferson. What did that mean what does it mean for you to be able to play ball at a place that it's like right in your backyard where friends and family can all come see you?
I think the big part of it is my family. They're pretty much at every single game, unless they have some commitments, but majority of the games, they're always there. Especially my brother, he's in a wheelchair. So it's really important to me that he's able to come to the games and support me and my teammates. He's always talking to the pitchers, talking to us after the games, and, yelling at us throughout the game. And I'm just really happy that he's able to come and see me because I'm so local. And also, again, with like Jefferson being close and me growing up here, a lot of my old teammates, old coaches are able to come watch us and continue to support not just me but USF softball. So I think that's pretty cool.
There's been a lot of stories about your brother these last couple of years too. I mean, he's pretty popular. He's a very popular member of your family as well. How do you draw strength from the strength that he shows to be? I mean, he just doesn't look like he ever has a bad day. And I see him all the time at games, and he's cheering, he's going crazy. I mean, what have you learned from him over the years that has helped you on the softball field?
I think the biggest part is just like nothing can limit you, no matter what you have. Physically, mentally, like truly, like if you leave it all to the Lord, like you can do whatever you want. And he's shown that time and time again in that wheelchair. Does not let that affect him as a coach, as a family member, anything. He will always try and do the best for us. And I just think like that's just so amazing. And honestly, it just shows me to be grateful for the things I have, the ability I have, the talent I have. Truly, like if it weren't for him, I would not be where I am right now because of his condition. My family did have to move from Puerto Rico to here just for better medical care. And then I was born. I'm the youngest. So just because he is who he is, we were able to come to Tampa, and I was exposed to better opportunities that may not have necessarily arose that easy in Puerto Rico. So, I mean, just truly, I owe it all to him. So I'm just grateful for him and that he's here and always supporting me. And I don't know, it just gives me goosebumps every time I see him and on the field supporting us. Like he truly is a blessing.
Yeah, he certainly is. We are all lucky that we're in his presence and your presence as well. A couple of Tampanians. Now, you said Puerto Rico. I know representing your country means a lot to you. And what is that like? And I saw you over the summer. Like you have busy summers too. Softball doesn't stop for you representing your country. Tell us about your background representing PR also right now, and then what the future holds kind of for you representing your country.
So I started with the Puerto Rico team when I was 15U. I want to say like 2019-ish. Started with 15U-ish, and then maybe it was a little earlier than that. But basically started when I was 15 with the younger team. And then my first tournament with the adult team was the summer before going into my freshman year of college. It was in Alabama. We didn't even think I was gonna play. I think I started every single game.
Wow.
Played third base there, and it's been history since then. I'm really grateful to represent my country, not just because get to wear Puerto Rico, but also kind of the legacy. My mom played for Puerto Rico when she was younger. She went to the Olympics. She was part of the first team from Puerto Rico for softball that ever made it to Olympics. So since then, there hasn't been a team. So hopefully, if all goes well, and it's in God's plan, that we will, and I will be part of the second team that will get Puerto Rico to the Olympics, and that's the plan. So just honestly, I'm so grateful to wear Puerto Rico. Those 10 letters mean so much to me. It's my family. I know that the island they're always supporting us no matter what. And I think that's like such an important part. And I'm glad my teammates got to experience it with just the atmosphere that Puerto Ricans bring to every game, the excitement about the game, just everything. It's just so amazing.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times. I was there over the summer on a way from. It was kind of my layover to go to the Virgin Islands, and I was like, I love this place. Every single time I go there, Old San Juan and El Moro, everybody takes the same picture over there. That's like the touristy thing to do. Obviously, one of the big reasons you go to USF is to play for a guy like Ken Erickson, and we were talking before we hopped on today. He's one of one. He's just such a unique personality, and he just talking to him about you, he thinks the world of you, and he can't say enough nice things about you. We've been talking about you for years. I think even before you even got to USF. What is it like playing for a guy that's so well respected around the country in the game of softball? We hold him in such high regard here in the Tampa Bay area, but obviously, I mean, the Olympics, right, for Team USA is such a esteemed position. So what is it like with him? What is it like playing for him, and how has that relationship maybe changed as you've gotten older and taken more of a leadership role with the Bulls?
I mean, playing for Coach is amazing. It's always been amazing. My thing was just like as long as he's here all 4 years, I'm good. He's just a great guy, great coach. I know I can go to him for anything, whether it's questions about Puerto Rico, like how can we be better, because he has that experience with the USA team, going to the Olympics, doing all this stuff, and just like it's really cool getting to dig in his brain and learn about his experience and how I can use his experiences to help mine and stuff like that. And just like, he has so much knowledge about the game of softball, and really just being able to have like a professional conversation with him, and not necessarily like him looking down on me, but more of us on the same level of talking about the game and understanding situations. The way both of our minds work is really cool. And again, just like him understanding so much about me representing Puerto Rico, and like knowing that I may need a break when I come back just because it's been nonstop softball, and like him understanding the importance of like mental health, and like understanding not just physically like needing a rest, but mentally needing a rest from the game. And even though like I wouldn't necessarily want to take a break, he knows that I need that to be the best self I can be for the team when we really need it. So he's amazing throughout everything, truly.
Yeah, he's awesome. Such a great guy. And just looking at what you guys have been able to do these last couple of years, and watching you play second base, you make so many of these incredible plays. First off, what is it like to be able to see some of your highlights like on TV when you see them on like Sports Center, because you make these just incredible all-world plays? What is that like to be able to get recognized? Because remember, the home runs are usually the big things. It's the home runs and the slam dunks. It's not always the defensive plays, but man, when you see your big plays get credit like that, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I always grew up not getting recognized for things, which I was totally fine with. I'm blessed for my mom to, tell me really to be humble and stay on my feet. And eventually my time will come where like I will get recognized and not just looked over, which that wasn't necessarily something I was looking for. It just kind of happened. And I'm truly grateful for it, because not just me being recognized, but the jersey, the name on that jersey, USF, is being recognized. So it's not just my name, but also USF Softball is that main thing that, hey, putting us somewhere,
I love that. When you make these incredible plays, and your positioning is just so fantastic, it's almost like you get a read on the ball before anybody else. Would you say that your stellar defensive play comes from instincts, some stuff you were born with? Because you said mom played for Puerto Rico too, so you got to love the DNA. Thanks to her. Is it more instinctual, or is it stuff that you learn? Is it patterns? Is it just the thousands of ground balls that you take? Where does that balance come from, do you think?
I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I had a coach one time tell me that I do have natural raw talent, but that will only get me so far. So I have to continue work on my skill and continue to do the little things every day, stuff like that, taking a lot of reps, to truly get to that next level, and just kind of always having that in mind, and knowing like I need to put extra work in, not just rely on my talent. Instincts can only get me so far. So being able to practice those balls that might come up in a game, or just mentally have those reps in my head, is really good. So when the game does come, I'm like, hey, I've done this before, or I've done this like to an extent before. So truly, I think it's a good mixture of both.
We mentioned Alana before, and the incredible chemistry that you had with her up the middle, and then Josie. I mean, I remember Josie as a freshman catching Georgina Corrick, which nobody thought that was going to be able to happen, and she was just so smooth back there. Who has really stepped forward this year? Obviously, we knew going into the season you and Wilkes were going to be huge parts, and we have obviously Dania, which she does as well. Give me some of the players that you've seen early on so far that maybe you're contributing a little bit more, or kind of stepping into a role that maybe you didn't anticipate going into the season, or is that everybody kind of performing to your capability or to your mindset right now? Is nobody kind of overachieving? They're just doing what you thought they would.
I think everybody in general is doing, for the most part, what they really like should be doing the USF softball way, going up there and trying to get on base, find a way, find a barrel. I think that Alex has done really good at, taking on that role and just being confident up in that shortstop role, and, being confident herself and showing that to others. And just, I feel like all of us in general just really helping each other and being together. Dania's always really been a good leader on the infield when she is playing. I think that in general, I feel like we all do a really good job, that if one of us is down, I know another one's going to pick us up. It's very much, I feel like, really good with like infield, for example. If one of us makes a mistake, we're really good at, hey, you got this, we got you. If I make a mistake, I know somebody's going to come up to me, be like, hey, we got you, we're good. Whether it's offensively, defensively, when we come back in the diamond, we're truly always going to point at each other and like, we got you, we got each other. So I think that's a really big, important part of like everybody buying in and just trusting each other that we do got each other.
Yeah, you can tell that. That's not something you can fake, can you? That's what I love about watching the softball, and I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is you're always on the top step. Everybody on your team is always so supportive. Is that a USF thing? Is that a softball thing? Because it just, you watch college softball on TV, and whether you're there or whether you're not, again, watching it on TV, the camaraderie, the sportsmanship, it seems like it's always at an all-time high, and you don't always see that in other sports. What is it about softball that lends itself to be so much more kind of team over me and team over individual?
I think I feel like this is a sport that don't like to say failure. It's a game of opportunities and different opportunities. So just knowing that at some point throughout the season, throughout games, that all 28 of us are going to be used eventually. We're going to have a way to impact the team, whether it's on the field, whether you're on the bench calling your runner that she's stealing, or you caught her leaving early on a pop fly, leaving early on a pitch. Every little thing is so important. Every person is truly important. So I think that the team and people being able to buy into that, it's like you make it more exciting. You get so excited when things happen. And just like, you're like, okay, like we got her, we did something. Like, and I think just that aspect of our game and being able to find different ways to contribute, whether you're not necessarily in the lineup, I feel that just helps people keep their energy up and continue to support the team throughout the whole season.
Yeah, it's so genuine and it's amazing to watch. All right, a couple more before I let you go. If your car breaks down on the way home from practice today, who's the first teammate you call to help?
I would probably call either Belle or Liv.
Okay.
Liv usually has class in the morning, so I'll probably call Belle first because Belle has class in the afternoons. So if it's in the morning, I'll probably call Belle. And then Liv, because Liv has class. But yeah, definitely them two.
Who on your team, who controls the aux? Who's the DJ? That's you. That would have been my guess. What are you rocking with? What's the popular stuff right now?
Well, we actually in the fall we did a little thing where I like messaged everybody to send me like their top 2 or 3 songs, and we kind of added it to a playlist that we'll play in the locker room. So that's what like we'll usually be playing. And then if not, I'll just leave my phone on and people just put whatever they want.
Unbelievable. All right, so another one is who's got the best and the worst style on the team?
Style? I think Dania has a really good style. She'd be coming to the locker room after class. I'm like, okay, like your fit. Worse? I don't know. Nobody really strikes me as really bad style. Everybody either has their cute little sweat set on or whatever. I think everybody has pretty good style.
All right. What would be on a Kathy Garcia-Soto pizza and a burger?
Okay. Pizza, if it's like, build my own, ideally.
Yes, build your own for both. Yep.
Okay. So for pizza, I would do like a chicken bacon ranch kind of pizza thing. And then a burger, gotta have some cheese on it, some lettuce, some onions, some mayonnaise, and then some ranch on the side.
I love that. If you have one pitcher you're playing in front of that you need a strikeout, out of all time, out of all the players that you've played with, out of all the players that you've watched, you need one pitcher in the circle to get a strikeout. Who are you picking?
That's a good one. If I could, I would say all of them. Honestly, I trust every single pitcher that I've played with to strike somebody out. If I had to pick one out of everybody I've played with, I think I would pick Taryn. Yeah, from the Puerto Rico team.
All right, and then the last one, out of all the players that you haven't played with, if you could play with one player, either current or past, that you've never gotten a chance to play with, who would you pick?
Honestly, I think it would be really cool if I would be able to play with my mom, just to see how she played.
Where did she play? What position?
She played third base.
Oh wow! And I don't know if a team could handle you two in the middle. Was she a defensive monster like you?
Yeah, she was definitely more defensive than offensively. My dad was more the offensive. He was actually also a switch hitter. Yeah.
There you go. Good genes, good DNA for sure. The one and only Kathy Garcia-Soto, Spider Woman, any other nickname that you can give her, as long as it has to do with USF and winning games, we'll take it. Kathy, you are the best. Thank you so much. And appreciate your time. I'll see you around the field soon. Tell Coach Ken I said hello.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Wow. Unbelievable. What a heck of an athlete she is. Even better human being. She's just one of one, man. Go check out some softball. If you've never been there, the complex is just incredible. Very, very cool. Big thank you to Kathy Garcia and, of course, Chad from USF for hooking us up and being able to have a talk with one of the best defensive, if not the best defensive player in the history of USF softball. Big announcement today in MMA where it looks like Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are going to square off on Netflix in an MMA bout. I think this is huge. I think this is great. I am not one of those people that is worried about kind of the sanctity of the sport when it comes to fights. I like the freak shows. I like the, if it's not for a heavyweight championship, I don't really care. Like sports are supposed to be fun, especially combat sports. It's supposed to be entertainment. So yes, are they in their prime? Or the question are they in their prime? No. Who cares? You could argue that these are the two most important women in the history of MMA. The first woman I ever saw fight MMA was Gina Carano on those Elite XC or Strike Force cards. And then obviously the biggest and the most important woman ever, Ronda Rousey. Let's not forget Dana White said women would never fight in the UFC, ever. And then here goes Ronda fighting in the first ever fight for women. A girl Rilla. Remember that fight? I love it. Sign me up, man. I'll watch that thing. I ask you guys, will you watch it? Will you tune in for that fight? Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey. Netflix, MMA special. The whole Ronda story has been kind of weird ever since she lost to Amanda Nunes. I feel like she's gone about it in a way where she's not loved and revered like she should be in the UFC, because she was just, I don't know, man. And you see with the WWE, like she burns a lot of bridges with her comments. And I feel like Ronda was one of those people that if she would have played her cards right, she would have had a lifetime contract with the UFC. So I don't really understand why she took that approach. But I'll watch it. No doubt about it. Looking at some of the it's a Netflix bout. Boom, boom, boom. Got it right here. MVP and Netflix. So MVP. You obviously know the MVP with the Paul brothers. So there you go. Bum, bum, bum. Just trying to make sure I don't leave anything out. Yeah. Okay. So it'll be fully sanctioned to be a full MMA fight. So no matter what, I'll be tuned in. I cannot wait. I'll watch that fight. Again, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, two of the biggest stars in the history of mixed martial arts, two of the biggest stars in women's MMA. I mean, women's MMA would not be where it is today without those two women. So, yes, are they past their primes? I don't even care. I don't care that they're past their prime. I'm going to tune in and see what it's all about. And it's about the names for me. I don't care if people are at their best. I don't care if they're in their prime. If they're two names of people that I think are, two names that we know. That's what I want to see. If a person's the best in the world, there's certain things you want to see best in the world. And I'm not talking about CM Punk. The Olympics, right? You may not know everybody's name. You do want to see the best in the world for that. I don't know if I'm watching like amateur curling, but show me Team USA against Team Italy yesterday. Sign me up. Best in the world. But when you have something like combat sports, just give me two names. Give me two big names. Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are two big names. I cannot wait for this fight. We'll see how it goes. Is it going to be pretty? Probably not. Who cares? It's a fight. Shut the cage door and let them scrap. Let's see who comes out on top. You going to tune in? All right. So we'll finish the show today. And man, what a show today. What a great show with all of our guests. And again, everybody that's chimed in today. Tomorrow on the program, we have Eric Erlinson. Thursday, Ed Encina, as well as Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Friday, we're trying to get Mark Topkin, and we will have Ryan Callahan on the show at some point this week as well. He just texted me right before the show started. But I wanted to finish today talking about yesterday. And yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of one of the hardest things that I ever had to deal with in my entire life. And that's when we lost Julius, my young son, after my then girlfriend went into labor after only 18 weeks. Very traumatizing. I still wear the necklace with his little handprint on it every day. I've worn it for 3 years. As a guy that wasn't sure if he'd ever get married or ever have kids, having that feeling, knowing that I was going to be a dad in my late 30s was something that I was waiting kind of my whole life for. And if you remember, we announced that Steph was pregnant on Valentine's Day that year. We went to Boulogne. We got in there late, and we put the social media post out that we weren't the only two at dinner, and that was a non-alcoholic drink that she was drinking. And then 2 days later, we were in the emergency room and in the hospital for the better part of a week. And the infection that she had, it was either her or the baby. And she was in such excruciating pain. And it's crazy because we just went to an appointment the day before and everything was fine. It's still tough to this day. I'm a person that holds it together pretty good, compartmentalizes my feelings and my emotions pretty good. I mean, it was, he was so small. He was just like a little being in my hands, and his heart was still beating after he had to come out. And while his heart was beating, I was holding him, even though he was, that was really the only part of him that was alive. And I remember Manchester United was playing Barcelona that day, and we watched that game together, and we watched Steven Stamkos highlights of him scoring. It's kind of ironic too, because Stammer is actually one of the people that reached out to me after this happened. I got followed on Twitter by Steven Stamkos. That doesn't happen all the time. And he reached out to me and sent me this long paragraph. And maybe that's why I'm, I love him so much. But I'll never forget the outpouring of emotion and love and support from not even just friends and family, but complete strangers here in the Tampa Bay area. It's tough to kind of dust yourself off after something like that. But I remember the first day going back to work, and ironically enough, Zach was off that day, and I cracked the mic at at noon, and I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't plan anything. But I started speaking, and I spoke for like 35 minutes in a row. And nobody on the text line, nobody that called in, nobody was like, get back to sports. Nobody gives a shit. And I'm forever grateful for the people that were supporting us during that time. And I think, when we started the show today talking about how, we're talking about WDAE and all that stuff of like, new shows and new reach and new hosts and things. What I remember from my days at WDAE, I remember Ron Diaz bringing me on air as a young intern and respecting my thoughts on UFC. I remember Rick Stroud and Tom Jones being so impressed that I could get Joe Urso on the phone when nobody could. I remember arguing with the big dog and him apologizing to me for snapping at me one day and me standing up to the loudest voice that anybody's ever heard from sports radio. I remember sleeping in my office covering the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup wins and covering the cup and going on boat parades and covering WrestleManias and Super Bowls and national championship games. And I remember that day cracking the mic for the first time after we lost Julius. And none of my bosses, none of the producers, none of the people that work there, none of the listeners, none of the viewers, nobody said, don't do it. Everybody just loved and supported me during that time. Maybe that's why WDA will always have a special place in my heart, because of days like that day. That wasn't the toughest day of my career. It was one of the toughest days of my life. And that's the beautiful thing about having this podcast and sports radio, is that you can build that connection with people. Don't you want to be on TV? Don't you want to be on SportsCenter? What do you really learn about those people? You don't. But when you're on the radio, Julius. My grandma's 88, loves the Mets. My dad's an Islander fan. Right? You know about my family. You know about my life. So that's why I'll never close the door on a reunion with WDA one day. And that's why I hold them in such high regard and high esteem. But as I said in my social media post yesterday, and I'll say it again today, let the memory of Julius not be one of tragedy. Let it not be one of loss. Let it be one of happiness and joy. And just a constant reminder that life isn't promised to any of us. And it's so fragile and it's so short. Make the call. Send the text. Tell people how you feel. Do that for Julius. Do that for me. Do it for yourself. All right, guys. I love you. I love you all. Thank you so much for all the love and the support, especially on a day like yesterday, which was tough, not just for me and Steph, but our friends and family. But the way you never get over it, but the way that you kind of deal with it and live with it is because of everybody out there. It's because of all of you. It's been good to be here today. I thought it was probably one of our best shows of the year, this young year. It's only February 17th. This is why I do it. This is why I do it. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Big thank you to Honest Hammer, EverHealth, Kathy Garcia-Soto, Xavier Scruggs, Brian Engblom, and you. Whew. Back at it tomorrow at noon, right here on the Recher podcast. I'm gone.